Pirate Software is even worse than you thought. From lying about his past to blaming everyone but himself for his failures, Jason Thorhall, better known as Pirate Software, built one of the fastest growing brands on Twitch and YouTube, only to completely destroy it with his own ego. This is the story of how a supposed tech genius lost everything and why it's entirely his fault. Jason Thorhall will never let you forget that he worked at Blizzard Entertainment. It's one of the first things he tells you, again and again and again. It became a running joke in his own community, and it was never subtle. That Blizzard name was his entire personality. It was the foundation of his credibility, the cornerstone of every story, every rant, every claim that he was some misunderstood genius just trying to help the next generation of game developers. And to be fair, it worked. In late 2022, Jason started uploading clips from his Twitch streams, short, fast-paced whiteboard lectures filled with alleged inside stories from his time in the game industry. He talked about corporate sabotage, psychological manipulation, saving employees from evil managers, and standing up to the suits at Blizzard, all while drawing on a whiteboard to keep the Gen Z eyes from drifting. He quickly went viral. His shorts racked up hundreds of millions of views. His subscriber count exploded, jumping from 13,000 to over 1 million in a matter of weeks. Twitch viewership skyrocketed. Donations flooded in. He broke records. He won awards. He was seen as the smartest man in game development. But the thing about building your image on fiction is that eventually people start reading the fine print. The first major crack in Pirate Software's reputation came in August of 2024 when he publicly attacked a movement called Stop Killing Games. The initiative, which aimed to stop companies from killing games people paid for by requiring future games to offer some sort of offline access, seemed like a no-brainer for consumer rights. But Jason framed it as some existential threat to live service games. He accused the campaign of being vague, anti-developer, and anti-progress, except it wasn't. The proposal was clear, targeted only future games, and allowed for dev-friendly implementation. It even had the support of industry veterans, legal analysts, and consumer protection agencies. So why would Pirate Software oppose it so aggressively? Well, context matters, because just weeks earlier, he and Ludwig had launched Off-Brand Games, a new publishing label which was, coincidentally, developing a live service multiplayer game. In other words, this initiative directly affected his bottom line. The same guy who claimed to fight for the indie dev community was now spreading misinformation that just so happened to benefit his new business venture. And when he was called out, instead of explaining his position or clarifying anything, he started banning people. Thousands of them. Live. On stream. With a counter in the corner, like it was a minigame. But as dumb as that was, it wasn't what ruined him. What really killed Pirate Software's reputation was everything that happened after. Because instead of learning from the backlash, he doubled down. Then he tripled down. Then he quadrupled down. Then he sextupled down. Every criticism was misinformation. Every disagreement was a hate campaign. Every person who questioned him was brigading or poisoning the well. And the worst part, he wasn't even smart about it. Take Heartbound, the game he used to prove he was a legitimate developer. The game that got funded on Kickstarter, entered early access in 2018, and still isn't finished. For years, Jason used Heartbound to frame himself as a tireless solo dev. But when actual programmers started reviewing his code, the illusion shattered. They found magic numbers everywhere, global variables all over the place, and an architecture so unstructured it was basically unreadable. One developer compared it to a toddler with a crayon. Another said it looked like tutorial code that never evolved. When confronted with this criticism, Jason didn't address the issues. He bragged that the game could run on a smart fridge.
Yeah, who here has not seen the smart fridge video? We'll watch it again for the 50th time today.
That was his rebuttal. But the most public collapse came during a World of Warcraft classic dungeon run with fellow streamers. Jason, despite not being the team leader, directly leading to the permanent deaths of 2 teammates in hardcore mode. When questioned, he refused to take any responsibility. He blamed everyone else for bad calls, claiming he had no mana and insisted it wasn't his fault, despite having 2 mana potions in his inventory the entire time. And again, instead of apologizing or owning up to a bad decision, he lashed out at his teammates, played the victim, and accused the entire OnlyFans guild of targeting him for drama. Even when Soda Poppin', the guild founder, removed him from the group, Pirate Software refused to back down. He accused the entire guild of being built on hate, claimed everyone was out to get him, and started writing long Reddit-style manifestos about how unfair the world was. It was a masterclass on how to tank your public image in real time. From there, the collapse only got more embarrassing. Old clips surfaced showing Jason bullying new players on stream, mocking teammates who didn't know game mechanics, and whining about being the only one carrying, even when he clearly wasn't. People started noticing that he always solved complex puzzles in story-driven games like Outer Wilds and Animal Well, but only after checking his phone on stream for a couple minutes. He claimed his brain just works differently. When most people saw a guy cheating mid-stream to appear smarter than he actually was. Even his voice came under suspicion after old convention footage revealed him sounding completely different.
So we have Champions of Breakfast, which is a twin-stick shooter that we made in 24 days from concept to release on Steam. Blew up.
The deep, gravelly Blizzard hacker voice he used on stream was completely absent. Some speculated a voice changer, others guessed it was part of his character. Either way, it added to the growing list of ways Jason Thorhall had crafted an exaggerated persona to sell himself as a misunderstood genius. And by 2025, that persona had officially collapsed. He started bleeding subscribers by the tens of thousands, his Twitch viewership dropped by over 70%, and his company, Off-Brand Games, quietly pushed him out, with Ludwig publicly thanking him for stepping down for the good of the developers. Jason tried to spin it all as a witch hunt, comparing himself to victims of cancel culture, claiming thousands of accounts were harassing him, and accusing the entire internet of wanting to destroy his life, but no one bought it. Because this wasn't a targeted campaign. This wasn't about canceling somebody over an old tweet. This was a man with a massive platform, a massive ego, and zero accountability, imploding in real time and refusing to admit that any of it was his fault. Pirate Software was exposed. He pretended to be a genius, a veteran hacker, an indie dev pioneer, a noble protector of the gaming community. But what people eventually saw was a guy with a superiority complex, a fragile ego, and a complete inability to say two simple words: I'm sorry. And that's all it would have taken. He didn't need to lose his career. He didn't need to become a lolcow. All he had to do was just admit he was wrong.